So Apple have now released the newest iPad mini, the 6th generation. I've got my hands on this one, and this is going to be my unboxing and first impressions video. So first of all, opening this box here. And Apple like to package it with this almost spring-loaded mechanism that when you open it out of the cardboard box, it sort of just launches at you. So now lift that one out of the box. We have this nice box with mini written on the front of the iPad. Now included in the box is an iPad mini, USB-C charging cable and the USB-C power adapter. So we're going to peel open this bit here. And just try and slide this one out of the cellophane wrapping. We're then going to slowly drop it out, and you can see here the iPad mini in all its glory. So just going to lift this tab here, pull it out of the box, and we'll just put this to one side for now. Now here we have a little folder, and inside this folder we have all of our sort of gubbins, quick start guides, some legal rubbish, and some beautiful Apple stickers. Here is the USB-C to USB-C charging cable. I'm not going to bother unwrapping that because we all know what that does. And here is the English UK version of the charging adapter. Now it's nice to see we still do get a plug here, unlike in the iPhones where they're deciding to take that away. Now I'll take this wrapping off, and here you have all of the arms of the plug folded away. So all you have to do is just pull on that and it will flip in to position like so. Now that is all that is in the box, there's nothing under there. So we'll move that to one side and let's have a look at this tablet. So we're going to peel off the protective cover here. Now you'll notice that once we got past that cellophane wrapping on the outside, all of the materials are paper, some form of recycled material. So that's really good to see from Apple, and we'll slide out the iPad. And there you can see, this is the purple one, but I don't think it necessarily looks that purple. It actually reminds me more of the space grey. So we'll switch the tablet on, and there you'll see the glowing beacon of hope. That is the Apple logo. And we're just welcomed by a little hello, and we'll move on to setting it up. So just pick our language. We're going to go into United Kingdom because that is where I live. Obviously if you don't live in the United Kingdom, don't click that one. And we've got a quick start here. So what I'm going to do is grab my iPhone 12 and let's get this iPad set up. And what you'll see happen is a little setup new iPad thing will pop up on my phone. So if I go ahead and press continue, that is going to connect, and all I need to do is hold my phone in position so that it picks up the little scan thing there. I just need to pop in my phone passcode and that will finish it syncing. It jumps us straight in. We can have a little look around, play with some apps and look at some home widgets. So now that I have the tablet in my hand, I have got some opinions. So I haven't yet used the iPad that much, so I'm going to go in a bit more detail in another video. So my first impressions are actually very, very good for the most part. Now, just to quickly go over a few of the things that Apple have changed. They've gone for this sort of full screen design, gotten rid of the home button like they've done on some of the other iPads, and they've put Touch ID into the lock button. They've also gone for the squared off design like they've done on a lot of their other devices, like the iPhones and the other tablets. They've also introduced stereo speakers for when you hold the tablet landscape, and the cameras have had a little bit of a bump up too. Another thing they've done is they've moved some of the buttons around. So the volume buttons have left the side and they've moved up to the top. It's a little bit weird to get used to, and you might be wondering why on earth would they do it, because they've stuck with it on the side for so long. The reason is because this new iPad mini supports the Apple Pencil 2, which means you can stick the Apple Pencil onto the side of the tablet, very, very good, and for a lot of people it's really going to open up this as a possibility for them. The problem is that the Apple Pencil is so big compared to the tablet, you actually can't have it on the side of the tablet and have the volume buttons there too. There just isn't enough room. So they've put it onto the top, which is weird to get used to, I'll be honest with you. And then obviously when you're holding it landscape, depending on which way you go, it's going to be either in your palm of your hand or could be quite accessible from the other side. But it is a bit of a weird adjustment. So we'll see when I get to my review and I've been using it for a little while, whether that's something I feel like I can get used to. Now the iPad mini also comes in a few different colours. This particular one is the purple, which after I'd unboxed it and my wife had a look at it, she asked me if it was the grey one, which actually in certain lightings it does look slightly like the space grey. Now this particular tablet is the Wi-Fi model and it's a 64GB, so it is sort of the entry spec. You can get a cellular model that now has 5G, which means if you are going to be using it as a small on-the-go tablet, then that really could be a winner for you. The two main things I noticed when I unlocked the device the first time was, first of all, the bezels. They look absolutely massive. Now I have an iPhone 12 and I'm quite used to that, and the bezels on that are obviously very, very minor. So when I looked at that, it just looked very odd to me. However, it's not necessarily that much of a problem. You see, when you're holding the tablet, the way your hand sort of overlaps the sides and to make it comfortable, the bezel sort of just covered that point so you're not touching the screen. So actually it's probably a good idea to have that. It might just be that on the mini it just looks a little bit more obvious. Now the second thing I noticed was the fact that all of the apps seem very, very small and very, very central. It's almost like they've been squished into the middle of the display. But when I'm going from my iPhone to the tablet, I almost sort of expect a bit of a bump up in size. And because it's all pretty much the same size on a bigger screen, it actually just looks a lot smaller. Again, I'm not 100% sure whether this will be a massive issue just yet. Now, like all iPad minis, it is designed to be small and to fit in your hand. And if you look at all the videos, you see lots of giant-handed people carrying around this tablet, and it makes it look like a phone. To do that with my fingers on the edge like so is very, very uncomfortable. I don't know what sort of giant-handed people are walking around holding it like that, like a phone. I tend to just hold it like that, like I looked at some sort of three-fingered thing, and then two fingers on the back for support. So it is comfortable to hold in one hand, just not the way you see it in all the adverts. I also have here an original first generation iPad mini that I've managed to dug out one of my drawers, and this is them side by side. Size is very similar, but obviously you get a little bit more screen size on the new one without having to account for the button at the bottom. I do think it's actually really impressive to see how far the iPad mini has come. Now the iPad mini also has iPad OS 15. Now that is also combined with the new powerful A15 Bionic chip. Now they haven't stuck an M1 chip in it yet, and it would be interesting to see whether they look at doing something like an iPad mini Pro. But the iPad does seem really responsive, and when given a go with a couple of games, it's really snappy, really quick, and I haven't experienced any issues with performance at all. Now battery life does seem okay. They've now brought in the USB-C charging port, so that's going to be really, really good for one, linking external devices, but also charging it with all of your other USB-C chargers. Now it doesn't have a lightning charger, which means if you're used to that with your Apple devices or with your phone, you can't use that with it, which for some people might be a bit of a pain, but the future is going to be USB-C or wireless in my opinion, so lightning does have a bit of a shelf life anyway. Now one of the other things I'm going to get into in the main review is the fact that this isn't the cheapest iPad. When the original came out, it was a budget way of getting into Apple's iPad, whereas Apple aren't positioning this as the entry level. And actually, you're paying a premium to get the smaller iPad. It's seen as a positive instead of a negative. Now that being said, this is probably a better iPad than the other one, but I will get into that in the other video. See what these speakers are like.
The southern end of our planet and the coldest place on Earth.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. What are your first impressions of this tablet? I've got a lot of high hopes for it, so I'm going to put it through its paces over the next few days. See what the positives are, see what the negatives are, and hopefully I can help you make a decision as to whether this is going to be something that is worth buying. And I'll see you again in the next video where we review this bad boy. See you in the next one.